All right, so that's an interesting question about that particular line, because what it shows is a kind of a romantic idealist. So what you got there is an affection line that's an extended affection line that's going right across the hand like that. And an extended affection line like that shows that someone has a very strong ideal of what they want in their partner. And they kind of they have projected an ideal onto um, the partner that they want in their life, or they have a very idealized form of that. Now, for most people, um, that will generally end up in relationship disappointment and a lifetime of loneliness, because no one matches the ideal that's kind of described by that pattern. Is like, you know, I've got this vision of the man of my dreams, and there is no such man because all men are bad. So it's kind of like
Right.
there's a kind of disjuncture between the ideation and the actuality. But because the ideation is so strong, it's actually impacting the major waterline, and it's almost like I can't have a relationship unless that person meets that ideal, and therefore the likelihood is increased that that person doesn't have a relationship, so they end up in either relationship disappointment, or they end up
Yeah.
alone and lonely and not having a relationship at all, and so they become a cat lady. So there's that kind of quality that goes on with that, or a monk. That's obviously the other possibility, but not women don't
Yeah.
usually
She
become monks.
she's married.
But wait, wait,
She's
wait, wait,
on
wait,
her
wait,
husband
wait, but
number.
wait, wait,
I'm
wait, but
sorry.
wait, but wait, but wait, but wait. In the case of an artist, it's a completely different process.
Mm,
So this is an example of principle and manifestation. So in an artist, what you have is the ideation of idealization of a relationship. But what this is going to do is the idealization of, for example, beauty, or the form of a human being, and therefore what she's going to paint. And this is why this is the kind of formation whereby artists have muses, because the muse isn't a real human being. The muse is an idealized vessel onto which the painter projects, and the painter projecting onto that is what gives him this kind of creativity. His creativity is a product of his ability to imagine and visualize and project onto this partner what they're seeing of that person. Now, that's incredibly problematic for that person, because they're not being seen for who they are. And the artist is not actually having a relationship with that person at all. They're having a relationship with their idealization of that person. But so many artists in the history of art, whether it's Picasso or Rodin, doesn't matter who it is, have a history of having muses onto which they project that energetically project onto them. And they have these disastrous emotional lives because they're not actually having relationships with people, but they are madly in love with these people because they are projections of their own visualization, identity, and their own idealization around what it is, what the human potential can be. So they're dreamers, they're visionaries, they're artists with disastrous emotional lives. So it's slightly different in the context. So if someone's got that line and they're an artist, you need to look at what they're doing with that energy. They may not experience it so problematically in terms of their personal relationships if they've differentiated that quality out and are using it in their art. So they might
yes.
depict idealized relationships, or they might depict idealized versions of the human form. Whether it's a Titian or a Rembrandt or a Renoir or something like that. They're kind of painting the female form in a particular kind of way that's according to a set of mores or ideations or ideals about that, and therefore projection onto that in a relationship sense. So, and we know in this case that she's an artist, and so and third of all, which is really important, she's a woman and not a man. And what men do with that kind of projection is clearly they externally direct it. And I think it's slightly different for a woman's experience of this line. But you have this line, so tell me if you want to tell me about that a
Well,
bit.
I was also going to ask for her because she also has she again very can can the muse also be a thing? Like for her, it's interesting because I noticed, she chased this ideal. I mean, she's got, she's been married for like 15 years, whatever, second marriage, met, has kids or whatever. And I think she's want to be a mom, but she's very her husband and he's pretty, but she's always disappointed with him. So what she started doing recently is she's suddenly found houses and she fixed. She's like a brilliant decorator. Like she's one of these
Okay.
people who,
I can
and so
see it
now she
now.
just
Yeah,
bought,
she can idealize the
and,
house, and
and
she's yeah.
yeah, so all of a sudden, because I went with her to go buy, she has her own money, and so she went to go buy a beach. She's like, she got a little beach house, and it's like she becomes obsessed, but she is fucking brilliant with it, and she's pouring all this energy that's not in her kids into the house, and she's so fucking happy. So I was wondering, so a muse could
Yeah.
also be
Yeah.
that thing.
She's doing that's exactly the same process as with a move. But she's not doing it on a person, she's doing it on a building. She's basically projecting
Okay,
her vision, her ideals onto that. And a building is much less likely to object than a human being. So that's quite a constructive use of that energy. But so with all of these things, it's like there's a process going on in that person's consciousness. The question is, what are they going to do with it, you know? And where do they put that? And someone who's got an artistic outlet has got somewhere to put some of that energy in, whether it's painting or whether it's, in her case, interior decorating and renovation. It's the same kind of notion. There's a
yeah,
desire to make something live up to her ideal. So you could argue that's a displaced relationship activity.
yes. I was wondering. Well,
And I'm
I
not,
was trying to tell her it's the house or the divorce. Like I'm like, her
yeah,
husband was upset she went and bought it
exactly.
with her
But
own
she,
money, She's like,
yeah, yeah, exactly. So
but
it's
it
going to
was
be
her.
one or the other in that kind of way. So it's an interesting kind of challenge, as you say, with that particular thing. So